Hello, I'm Erik. I've invited my friends Greg Talley and Ryan Smith to join me in ingesting fun and bizarre foods. We'd like you to join us too. So come in and open up. It's Junkmouth.
Hi, I'm Erik.
I'm Greg.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Deana.
Welcome, listeners, to the Roof Lizard Lounge, high atop the Deana Hotel in picturesque Lakewood, Colorado, above our restaurant, Paleo Joe's, and just a short drive from Denver and the Rocky Mountains. We have a special guest joining us today, Deana Dolphin.
Deana!
Yay, Deana!
Hello.
Some of you may recognize her from the Revival League, where she performs as an admin. She also runs our MST3K singles group for all the single Misties out on the Satellite of Love, as well as weekly online watch-togethers of MST3K, Riff Tracks, Incognita, Cinema Warriors, and other riffers. Or maybe even the Revival League podcast, where she was interviewed last fall on episode 28, if anyone wants to go check that out. So, hello, Deana.
Hello. I am graciously welcome to be here. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you. Now we're going to start off with our lunch swap. Greg, what did you bring today?
Well, in my 3-level Mumbai tiffin,
I just hate it
in the top tier, I have a Matasutake lo mein wrap served in soy sauces infused with a hawksbill turtle liver. In the middle level is a forbidden black rice with saffron and diamond dust from only the most violent corner of the trade and just a drizzle of blood. On the bottom tier is a Golden Gate ribs, a classic Chinese dish made more acceptable for my palate by making it with the ribs of a giant panda. Delicious.
Immoral and interesting. All right. Deana, as our guest, would you like to share with us your lunch today?
I would love to. I have a clam-shelled lunchbox, and for starting off, I'm going to have a seaweed salad with a toasted black sesame seeds and balsamic dressing drizzled all over, followed by some freshly steamed soft-shell crab that I pulled from my trap this morning. I'll be dipping it in rich garlic butter sauce and pairing it with a shot of vodka, followed by a seawater chaser.
You know, drinking seawater is not good for you, Deana.
I don't care.
Okay. Well, let me open my Hong Kong Fooey lunchbox, which involves absolutely no cultural appropriation whatsoever, and see what I have.
Nope, no.
Yeah, looks like I have a peanut butter and jelly canwich. Oh, not necessarily looking forward to that one, but I got a Yeao's winter melon tea. That'll be good. And an almond cookie. Not overall, not bad. Ryan, what did you bring today?
In this old torn-off shirt sleeve, I have a shiv, and I'm not afraid to use it, motherfuckers.
Oh, crap.
Wow. Okay, well, at least don't try to eat it. Welcome, listeners, to our Chinese episode with our guest, Deana Dolphin, where Deana was kind enough to provide us with some special foods from Taiwan for this episode. So we're really looking forward to that.
Amen.
And now it's time to let everyone know that Junkmouth is part of the Deana Hotel Entertainment Network of America, or DENA. We encourage you.
Me.
Yeah.
I'm so pleased that you guys named your podcast network after me. I am really humbled by that. So thank you.
No, that's not happening. Carry on. Go.
Regardless of where it comes from, we encourage our listeners to check out our other podcasts on our network, including our flagship program, the Mystery Science Theater 3000 Revival League, and 10 Backwards, where our friends Ron and James watch Star Trek The Next Generation in reverse order. So before we dig into our first chorus, we need to sing for our supper. So it's time to load up the reel-to-reel with that sweet Kevin Murphy jingle.
Roll the tape!
The next time you travel to Denver, make your journey into one that you'll remember. Don't just sit around and wish when you can have an expedition at the Dino Hotel. Stretch, snarl, growl.
That jingle is great every time. Don't you think so, Greg?
I love it.
It's a lot better than the rest of the podcast.
Well, Well, guess I can't argue.
It's not your fault, Eric. I mean, it's entirely Greg.
Why is it such a great segment? It's 100% Ryan free.
Yeah, it's free of all of us. It can't be bad, right?
It's the only part I used to listen to. So.
Yeah. All right, before we dig in, let's lay out our ground rules. Rule 1, we look for items that are not widely distributed in the USA. Thanks to Deana, that was really easy this week.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Rule number 2, we look for foods that are actually unique and not just regional brands. And 3, our foods each week fit to a theme. Again, thank you, Deana, for making that easy this week. And the last thing is we each get 1 pass card every episode, allowing us to skip an item if it's just a little too much for us to try. So this week, as we'll dig into our Chinese and Taiwanese foods, we're going to try a few different savory items, and we're going to let Deana describe these as we go after them. So what do we have over here first? Which one do we want to go after?
Let's go ahead and... I am always a fan of eating the best thing first, and my dad, I should mention that these foods came from my stepmom, who's Taiwanese. So these items came from either Taiwan themselves, the country over there, or they came from Asian stores in Oklahoma City, where my dad and stepmom live. And when I was talking to my dad about doing this podcast, I was telling him about the French fries. You guys should see a package with red, and there should be some French fries on it.
The ones that look like vampire hunting steaks in half of a coconut.
Yeah, it doesn't look appetizing. So he told me that, he said, "Oh, is that in Colorado now?" I said, "Oh, yeah, my friends have it up there." And he's like, "Well, that's your loss. You should have kept that, because that's the best thing out of everything I gave you."
Okay, well, I'm going to open this up.
Of course.
Talking, and they do look like little dehydrated French fries.
They do indeed. Precisely
I
like
will
that.
grab a couple for myself and pass these around.
We'll grab a couple. Or just one, as it turns out.
And again, I talked with my stepmom to kind of get a little description, at least some description of these items. And she said, these are made out of imitation potatoes, and
Not even a real potato.
Not even a real potato. Come on now, come on. But it's supposed to be like you're eating a French fry right out of the box. So.
All right. Well, let's take a look.
They're good.
That was good. I'm really curious how you fake a potato, because that tastes like a potato.
That is very French fry-ish, yeah. Like
Well,
a crunchy
maybe
French fry.
maybe she's wrong. Again, she doesn't know everything.
Maybe it's
but,
like potato starch that's rehydrated or something. That could be.
Very possible. Unfortunately, because we can't read the ingredients.
I was about to say, well, I'm reading the ingredients, and they're in Taiwanese.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we don't quite know exactly what's in them. But
I almost wonder if it isn't potato, because there's a spot on the end of one of these that actually looks like potato skin.
It does.
So.
I could be wrong as well.
Yeah.
But the point is that it's like eating a French fry out of the box. So does it taste like something you get like at McDonald's or?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I mean it's very much like a French fry that's crunchy.
Yeah.
You know,
But it's not hot.
It's
which
not
is
hot, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, having something that's room temperature but still crunchy with a potato flavor, it's a little different.
It's a little odd.
This has a hint of apple in it.
You're insane. There's no hint.
There's
of
no
apple. in there.
apple.
None at all. Greg, you need to check to see if you're having several mini strokes, because you're
Okay.
always tasting hints of stuff that is just not there.
I
get-
don't
This
remember.
has apple. This has
Popper.
honey. No. Yeah,
Yeah.
No, there's.
I never trust a man in a Hawaiian shirt, so I don't know what Greg says.
I like them. I'm still eating them.
yeah, that was.
Yes.
What do we want to rank these?
I'd give this about a 4. You know, it's good.
Yeah.
It's not mind-boggling, but it's pretty damn good for a little prepackaged snacky thing.
Snack.
Yeah, for what they've accomplished getting that crispness, I have to give them credit, and I'm going to go with a 4 out of 5. I don't know that it tastes quite 4 out of 5, but the novelty, it's just kind of cool to have something room temperature that crisps like that. So I go 4 out of 5 greasy wrappers myself. Greg, what do you think?
I give it a 4.
Okay.
I think it's solid. What I'm noticing is how greasy my fingers are after pulling these out of the package. There's like,
No more than like a package of Lay's potato chips.
I think more so. I think slightly more so.
Maybe because I just grabbed one, maybe.
No,
so.
I ate a bunch of them, and my fingers are coated in grease and whatever is coating it, salt or whatever.
Well, to be fair, that was before we opened the package of yeah.
I have
We don't know
Cheeto
where
dust, mashed into my beard. There's just
And other places. It's really disturbing.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so red. So I actually had a question because, again, I didn't get to try these. When I saw the package, it reminded me of the shoestring potatoes that we have here in America, those really thin ones.
Yeah.
Planters, I think, used to make them.
Yeah.
Is it similar?
I wouldn't say it is really. It's a different type of flavor. It's much more. It's much closer to French fries.
They look similar. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But the taste is nothing alike.
Yeah, I mean, not in a bad way or a good.
Right.
It's just different.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm definitely disappointed that I sent them to you guys instead of myself. But hey, as long as you guys get to enjoy them and your listeners enjoy it as well.
All right.
All 5 of them.
Yes.
Hello, we're up to 6. Don't sell us short.
Sorry. I didn't know you'd made the progress already.
To be fair, 4 of those are just Greg's alternate personalities.
Just
Have
me
you met
pulling my
Julian?
ego up in various chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, which item do we want to go for next? I'm guessing
Whatever you pull
this,
up, I'll tell you
this
about
stuff right here. If you see it, maybe I
it. I
need to go
don't
to the
see
other
it
camera.
yet. This way. All right.
There we
yes.
go.
So this is pressed tofu or dried bean curd. My stepmom described this as tofu jerky. They cook the tofu. It's tofu. It's completely vegetarian. They take the tofu and they cook it down a long time, much like we do, beef jerky. They add flavor to it. They dehydrate it. It comes in many different shapes and sizes. They'll have like long sticks, like Slim Jims, as well. And it comes in different flavors. I don't know the flavor of this one. Unfortunately, again, it's in a foreign language. But it's essentially, she described it as tofu jerky.
And it feels like fruit leather.
Well, that's very possible.
There were 3 pieces. They're little squares. One of them was a little smaller than the others. Ryan grabbed that. I don't blame him.
This looks like a piece of fine shoe sole leather, I'd say.
Yeah.
Well worn.
Yeah.
Leather.
And
I don't envy you because I personally have not tried this, so I wish the best of luck to all.
has an
And
interesting.
it smells like spicy child nightmares.
I smell some sweetness, some earthiness. Yeah, and something a little tofu-y bean curd type.
Yeah, I don't have high hopes for this.
All right, no, let's give it a
Greg,
taste.
Are you
I already
eating?
tried it. I know what you're in store for. It is crumbly. While these guys sort of chew on their pieces, it's crumbly. It isn't sweet.
Oh,
It's got kind of a weird tea aftertaste, but it doesn't. It just crumbles into powder in your mouth.
Oh, fuck this. Oh, fuck this.
that is awful.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
All right, for pure science, I'm gonna take another bite.
Oh,
there's something wrong with you, Greg.
this is... Oh.
Wow.
This is like watching your parents die and you don't get to be Batman afterward. This is horrible. They're just... Oh, God.
Okay,
I
so I'm
would
trying
say
to describe the texture of it.
I think they took some leather, boiled it thoroughly, ground it up, mixed it with some gelatin, and to make like the Knox block thick level with all the leather mixed in with there. And then I think there's a little bit of, there's something spicy in there to try to cover up the leather flavor.
I'm assuming wizard blood. I mean, this is... This is horrendous.
That's what congeals it. The wizard's blood
I
keeps it all together.
Nibbled one corner of this, and that was one corner too much.
Zero.
It crumbles. Yeah, I have an aftertaste in my mouth, which is like getting warm bile in your throat.
Yes.
Yeah, that's about
It
right.
feels like I burped, something came up, and it's burning the back of my throat. So it's got kind of that regurgitation, vomit, Yeah, I imagine this is what it's like to be an ungulate, to chew your own cud.
I imagine this is what it's like to be poked in the eye by Satan's dick.
All right,
Well,
that's graphic.
So, let's go ahead with one more eat.
Really? After that?
Really?
You dare?
You know,
Well,
really?
It's up to y'all. If you guys need to take
No,
a break,
no. We're brave. We can talk this
All
out.
right, you got some cojones. Let's keep going. Eric, if you will, there's a tin that's
Yes, the black tin, which has the very interesting description of fried black pig pork on it.
yes, and that's
It's a pretty can.
It is. It's
which
gorgeous.
It's actually a very pretty tin. I will give one thing. The people who make tea and Asian foods that are kept in these pretty tins, it's hard not to throw away those tins after buying something and using it because I want to keep them. But
Yeah, they're-
I'm
Yeah.
a clutter bug, so I've gotten better about throwing things away. But what you have before you is it's fried, dark skin pork. It's pork fiber. Okay, so
I'm taking a pass.
what they do?
Oh, this is like bun mi. This is like when you have those sticky buns and you eat the shredded Chinese breakfast.
Similar.
I've
but I
had
think
this.
This one's even further dehydrated. So
Smells like
they-
dog food.
It looks like
More cat
it
food,
looks like
but
there used to be a whole animal in there, and then they left it in the sun for 1,000 years, and this is the dust that's left over.
Yep. Greg's
It
already
looks
got a pinch
decomposed.
and ate it. I'm taking just a
Okay,
little
well-
pinch.
Pass card, thrown down a card.
I am not going to eat
terrible.
much of this.
First time since
well, let
It's not bad.
me explain. You've already eaten, so now you have
Yeah.
to sit with the
not
paste in your mouth before you
No,
get to talk.
it's not.
So
I was expecting far worse.
no, it's not
I'll
bad.
eat more.
Essentially, it's pork that they have cooked down until it's in its fiber state, to where really all you're getting is the flavor. In the older days, what they would do is they would take this and they would put it over rice or porridge for sick people who couldn't eat like solid foods or older folks who didn't have teeth. It was more kind of a flavor additive, or like in rice soup. Again, it was more of a flavor. So
I've had this for Chinese breakfast where you sprinkle it over like a rice pudding or
Sure,
a corn soup.
Yep, exactly.
And it gives
yeah.
it like a savory flavor. It's not bad, but it's a condiment, right?
It's more of a condiment, at least that's the way I understand it. One of the more modern times, now what they do is they'll put it like as a topping on bread or maybe in a sushi roll, like a handmade sushi roll that you make at home. You'd put some, put your seaweed down, your rice, some cucumber slices, and this pork fiber and just roll it up and you've got a sushi roll, and it's providing you with some protein as well, because essentially the more they cook it down, the fat is gone.
Yeah, it sounds like I wasted my pass card.
Yeah,
It just
actually,
looks,
you
if you
did.
want to revoke it, it's not bad.
I'll give it a
Yeah,
pinch.
you-
Yeah.
It's got like
It just
essence-
looks so frightening.
It's essence
it does.
of barbecue pork with a little bit of seaweed. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
think
it
the
really
texture
isn't
is
terrible.
what's- it
and
looks
it
like-
actually, the aftertaste grows on you.
No, that's not bad at all.
No, I'd eat this in sushi.
It's a little
Yeah,
weird, but
the texture, eating it by itself is very bizarre, and you get those
I've never
little
had powdered-
fibers.
Yeah, it's a powdered animal, so it is a little
Yeah, but I think as a condiment, I would eat that on some rice or
Like a piece of bread with
in a soup.
mayonnaise with this on it, or with the pork on it, I think would be pretty good, because
Yeah.
You know what else would be pretty good? A piece of bread with just ham on it.
Yeah.
well,
You could conceivably add another piece of bread and make a sandwich.
well, holy shit, give Ryan a Nobel Prize. He just invented something. But again, what it was, I think, designed for or invented for, why they created this dish, was the people who were sick or people with no teeth wanted to pump up their porridge, so to speak, or their rice, and give it some flavor while also still getting a little bit of protein. So
If I were unable to chew my food, that actually isn't
See?
awful. What do we want to rank this? Greg, what do you say?
I'm going to give it a 5 because I think
Really?
within the cultural context, it's
Yes.
delicious.
Yeah.
I love a banh mi. I love barbecue pork. I love Asian barbecue pork. And I like seaweed. So it's hitting all the right notes. It just needs to be paired with something.
I agree, but with me, when we've had things that we're missing the thing to be paired with, we've never ranked them quite as high, and I have to be consistent with the ranking on this one. I'll give it a 4, because it has some really good flavor. By itself, the texture, and it's missing that thing to match it with, but it has huge potential, so 4 Greasy Wrappers.
I'm going to go 3.5. It's good. It's not bad at all. It's just... The texture and the fact that you're eating a powdered animal, just from my perspective, because it's not something I've ever done, was a little off-putting. Yeah. And also, quite frankly, I might be being a little unfair because I think my taste buds are still befouled with that horrible Satan dick jerky that we just ate. That stuff, I mean, it's affecting me. I feel bad. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you revoked your pass card so you could try the pork fibers.
Yeah, I'm just saying, the last time we had like a soy-based product that I recall, I think it was that horrible drink.
The soybean drink that was probably in my opinion, is the worst thing we've ever had on this podcast.
It made me ill, and soybeans. Maybe I just have a reaction to them because I am not batting 1,000 on soybeans every time I've had a soy product.
Just too hippie for you, right?
I've had good soy products.
Every time I have a soy product on this show, I feel it afterward. I just don't feel good. So
I've had some really good soy products. The ones we've had on this show have not been those products.
No.
Yeah.
That's what I brought for y'all to eat.
Well, thank you. Now we will let anyone who is masticating on this show and wants to spit something back at us, let us know they can do that for a future audience regurgitation segment. You can contact us by email, junkmouthpodcast@gmail.com, through Facebook at facebook.com/junkmouth, or on Twitter, we're at junkmouthpod. Dean, do you want to give anybody a way to contact you?
I'm all about Facebook. If you guys don't know right now, I'm kind of a big deal. Just search for me, Deana, Deana, Deana Dolphin, Dolphin. There's only one. You can't miss me. Friend request me. I'll add you some cool groups. We'll have good times and be wonderful BFFs on Facebook.
All right. So go out to Facebook if you want to be BFFs with Deana.
What?
Yeah. All right. Let's move to our next segment, which is Accentuate the Positive.
How can you after that jerky?
Well,
I mean,
because I got to at least get the taste out of my mouth with the dried beef thing. And
it just sort of proved that not only is there no God and the universe is random and absurd, but the universe is actively plotting against us. That's what that jerky proved.
Yeah, well, there's part of the universe that plots against us, but if you read into some of the more wild scientific theories, we probably live in a multiverse, and one of the other universes is probably plotting for us, because they have to represent the whole multitude of possibilities.
You're not making this any better, Erik. We're stuck in the universe where this jerky exists.
And we're going to move on to Accentuate the Positive. And this week, in honor after eating the Chinese food we have this week, I'm going to talk about one of the great Chinese inventions, the compass. And Joseph Needham was a historian who specialized in ancient Chinese history, and he described this as one of the 4 great Chinese inventions, along with paper, printing, and gunpowder. The magnetic compass, which is what we use still today, was first invented as a device for divination in the early Chinese Han Dynasty, which is around 206 BC. So it wasn't even navigation as an initial thing. Yeah. And it wasn't until the Song Dynasty during the 11th century that the compass actually began being used for navigational purposes.
Wow. Yeah. You'd think somebody would have thought, this always points north. That'd be handy.
Yeah.
I mean, surely, people traveling over the roads, like merchants and stuff, figured out by that time, hey, this always points north. I ought to take this with me.
You would think, but
apparently they were stupid.
And you know what? It's even possible they did and nobody wrote it down.
Exactly, yeah. Because if you have a good idea, you don't necessarily write it down. It's just, you figure, well, it must have occurred to somebody.
Huh? And
Also, I mean, if it was used for divination, maybe it was a sacred object and, nobody ever thought to take it out of wherever they were using it.
that's also very possible. And would fit with the next couple things. The original compasses were made with something called lodestone, which is a natural magnetic iron ore. But later compasses became needles that were magnetized by striking them with a lodestone. We say striking with a magnet doesn't mean you're just like beating on it. It means you place it next to long enough to gain a magnetic field itself, to come into alignment. And they made the thin iron needles then from the lodestone. And most of the early compasses were what are called wet compasses, where it was just either that lodestone or a needle being placed on a piece of cork in a bowl of water.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
that
that it
would
can
make it a
point
lot
north.
harder to transport.
Yeah. But they were used that way, and then it was finally Shen Ku, who lived from 1031 to 1095 CE in the Song Dynasty to first accurately describe both the magnetic declination and the magnetic needle compass in his essay called Dream Pool Essays of 1088. And then finally, the author Zhu Yu was the first to mention the use of the compass specifically for navigation at sea in a book published in 1119.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's a little history on the compass.
That's amazing. I had no idea it was that ancient an invention.
Yes. You look at this comes right before a lot of the early trade around these waters and
That would have been... When did Marco Polo hit China? It was the 1200s?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so not too
So,
terribly
yeah.
long before he showed up.
Right.
And brought all the Chinese technology back with him to Europe.
Yes, and then the navigation exploded, the trade exploded after that, and really drove us into the modern world. All right, and at this point, I think, Ryan, it's time for you to go ahead and talk about what you are interested in this week.
Okay, this is Ryan's reality check where I get to talk about whatever I want.
Always.
Sure.
Okay.
Why not? Let me hear it.
Okay. 9/11, what really happened?
No.
Ryan, no! Come
Whoa,
on.
whoa,
What the
whoa,
hell?
no.
Yeah, Erik wrote that for me. I just want people to note, I will totally sell him out. I am not a 9/11 truther. Fuck those people. As a matter of fact, what I want to talk about today, fucking 9/11 truthers. Okay. Well, conspiracy theorists as a whole. I know it makes a lot more sense that, and it does. Conspiracy theories are attractive because people want to see the world as organized. People don't want to believe that one lone nutbag with a mail-order rifle could change the course of human history. Unfortunately, that's almost always how human history works. It's random and senseless. Conspiracy theories are attractive because they impose order on chaos, and chaos is terrifying. Well, grow up and put on your big boy pants, motherfuckers. Life is terrifying, okay? Sometimes you just have to accept that facts don't jibe with what you would rather be true. Most people talk about things like JFK conspiracy or 9/11 or moon landing hoax conspiracies as if they're dark and hideous and terrifying, but what they're really trying to do is assure themselves that the world is not a cold and meaningless place. Well, the world is a cold and meaningless place. It doesn't care whether you live or die, and the sooner you make your peace with that, the happier you'll be. Ryan out.
Okay.
Oh, really? No objections at all?
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue. I am an engineer. I do believe in a way of finding the truth and of applying the scientific method.
Yeah. So jet fuel can't melt steel beams. Oh, God, those assholes.
Yeah, well, it's under the right conditions you could, but under the vast majority of conditions, you're right. It won't melt steel.
But when that steel has just also been decimated by an airliner plowing into it at several hundred miles an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, that's as an empiricist and a realist, you just have to realize that conspiracies are attractive because they impose an order. This thing didn't happen because life is terrible. This thing happened because a lot of people got together to make it happen. No, it didn't. It almost never did.
thought you did the Ryan out and you're still talking.
He's still going. We would just like to, at least me personally, I would like to pass my condolences to
I'm
everyone
just
who
over
was
here
affected by
eating
9/11,
the Taiwanese
and I
snacks.
don't have
Just
any.
watching the
I
show.
think it's,
With
you're,
this
you're already up
podcast,
eating the sweet things,
I love
Greg.
America.
Or do they have to
Just
drink
want
something
to make
first?
that known.
Well,
Just,
yeah, well, of course, yeah, of course, but just. The conspiracy theorists make me angry because, well, for one thing, I think it belittles a tragedy. What about the people?
everything makes you angry.
Think about it. Belittles a tragedy, and it also attempts to shift the blame for a tragedy in the case of a tragedy that was caused by people away from the people who actually did it.
I know.
The false flag people who insist that, say, a mass shooting never really happened. That's monstrous.
I can't argue with that, but what I can argue with is us talking about it when I still have the taste of that awful jerky in my mouth and I have an opportunity to get a drink
Yes.
that might wash some of that out.
Yes,
So
you should
shut
have
up,
let me
Ryan,
up
shut
long
up,
ago.
Move on to our drink segment. This is the one place.
I had to be Mary, and these little cookie sesame
Wait a minute,
cookies are
no.
phenomenal.
Were there enough to share?
There's enough to share.
There
Thankfully,
were.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah,
delicious.
Greg's just going to have to talk about his later.
5 out of 5.
Damn it, Greg.
That's
All
so
right,
good.
right now there is one piece that Deana was not able to give us, and that was our drink segment.
Because all the tea I had was just mainline, normal.
Yep.
Well, actually, it might have been Taiwanese, but also I didn't want to clean out my parents' house. So.
But thankfully there is an Asian market here in Colorado that I frequently shop at.
Dana, you got any more of these? These are really good. I could go for some more of these.
Spoiler alert, Greg. We will talk
God,
about those
Greg.
later.
I
Yeah.
didn't say what. They can't understand what these is.
Little
Craig, you're
professionalism.
interrupting the flow of the podcast. We're trying to talk
continuity
about
of
our
this
tea and get some
podcast.
drink, okay? Because we want to get that damn jerky flavor out of our mouths, and we're not skipping ahead like little children who can't control themselves.
It was delicious. No apologies.
And you, Greg.
Just a
I
little bit of-
understand
a
why
little bit of
Ryan
professionalism.
beats you sometimes.
Fine.
Man.
Hand over the dollar store cookies. I'll work on those.
You know
I'm
what?
hungry.
No, you know what? You don't get any cookies, Greg. You already ate dessert early. You don't get
Yeah.
any more.
Cookies are for closers, Greg.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And you are not a closer, sir.
So
Did you just quote Boss Baby on our podcast?
I apologize for that, but
But
I
only
couldn't
because
help it.
Boss Baby referenced it from someplace actually. That
Well,
was
yeah,
probably-
Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go.
So what I
That
had
doesn't
brought,
make it any better. Sorry.
what I
Boss
brought
Baby
in
must
for us
be
to
used-
drink, so that we can get somewhat back on track,
I want
is
a cookie.
Shut up, Greg.
Tian
Cheers.
Husan brand. It is a Snow Mountain Dragon Well green tea. So we have that thermos right over by you, Ryan, filled with
All right.
green tea.
I will hand it over.
I will say I actually bought this tea for myself. I have consumed several pots of this already, and I find it
He
absolutely
just took
delicious.
his headphones off, got up, and walked over so he could take the cookies from our last episode.
No regrets.
Wow.
You're a monster.
There, since this was
cookies.
super full,
They are really good cookies.
You're just pissed because
I'm going to drink mine out of the lid, and I'm going to have a nice big cup. But
I'm just going to have a little splash. I'm not a big tea drinker.
I'm going to have it with these
careful, that's hot.
Puffy Crisp cookies from the dollar
careful,
store.
I'd hold it from the top there because this is still really hot.
Okay.
I know it's been in the thermos for hours, but this is a good thermos.
Oh, that's a good thermos. Damn.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, that
burn
is
your fingers.
burning hot.
This is one of those, like, it's a Stanley 100-year anniversary thermos. It's a huge
I
thing.
think we're going to need a minute to let this cool off so we don't scald our mouths. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for it to cool, tell us more about the tea, or I'll go on to tales of the stew.
Tell us more about the tea. Tell us.
Yes. So this is what's called a Dragon Well tea, which is a variety of a pan-roasted green tea from the Longjing village area near Hangzhou in the Zhejiang province of China. Green teas are teas that are simply steamed or roasted and dried. They are not crushed or fermented anywhere like you would get with a black or an oolong tea.
So what are they, like full leaf? Or?
So yeah, there's full leaves. In fact, I even have the jar right over here. We can full of the leaves. that we can look at.
Ah,
So you can see, and in this particular one, they
Oh, yeah.
press the leaves really flat before they roast them. So you get these long, flat leaves
wow.
of the green tea.
Never seen tea that
kinda
looks
pretty.
like that. That is very pretty.
Yeah, it's unique.
This would almost be just fine, even if you didn't like the tea, just to hold on to as a decorative item. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And any comments on that, Greg? Will you stuff your face with cookies?
It's got a pretty waterfall on the bottle,
Yeah, on the jar. Yeah,
on the jar.
Yep.
And yeah, I could totally see how this would be a fun collector's item. Looks kind of like a Yankee Candle Company holder.
It does look like a Yankee candle jar.
It looks like a dispensary bottle.
But I have no pertinent thoughts other than I've got a sweet tooth right now. I'm going to keep working on these cookies.
I'll say this particular green tea has what they consider a moderate caffeine level for a tea, but most green teas are low. So this is relative to other green teas. This is actually relatively high in caffeine.
You'll be bouncing off the walls. Good luck, boys.
Okay.
We don't have a huge amount, so and it is one of the more famous types of tea from China, where the top grades of this particular tea are very expensive. I would say I've had a couple others, and just based on appearance, I could not find a grade on the jar I bought.
Well, that's never a good sign.
Compared to the others, well, I can say it's actually better than what a 1 would be, but it's also probably not a top grade because of there are a significant number of broken leaves and things like that, and I know their top grade is all about appearance being just perfect. So, you guys think you were cooled off enough to give this a try?
Off enough, yeah.
All right, let's go.
That's
Greg
lovely.
didn't-
It's delicate.
Greg didn't wait for the countdown.
He never does.
He doesn't. He has
We
things to do.
try to ignore it here.
Greg has jumped the wire at this point. He's gone
Yeah.
rogue.
He's gone
I've gone
rogue.
rogue.
He's Maverick at this
Okay,
point.
all right. I defy you to listen to this podcast on this set of headphones and be able to keep up at all. I'm just over here munching on cookies because I can hardly hear a thing because of technical difficulties. So I'm doing my best to keep up, but it is a nice tea. It's got some floral notes. It's mostly a neutral green tea, but I get like hints of grass. It's just perfectly warm from the thermos. And I'm going to finish this little cup, and it is enjoyable, and I hope it has some caffeine in it, and because I got a raging headache from something we ate today. Probably had MSG in it, probably that apple juice.
What are
If
you
anything,
going to rate it, Greg,
Yeah.
while you're talking?
What was that, Deana? Let me put my headphones
What do you want to
So,
rank
yeah.
it?
Let me give it a 3.7 greasy wrappers.
3.7. I'm gonna go with this. To me, this is a really good green tea. I'm just gonna go with a 5.
I'm not.
Canner.
Yeah, I'm not much of a tea drinker. I'm much more of a coffee drinker. But this is pleasant. I'd give this like a 3.5 to 4, somewhere between those. So I'm not sure exactly where between, but it's pleasant. It's good for what it is. It's just that it's not my thing. But yeah, it's nice and warm, and I'm still drinking it. So.
Huh?
It's a hell of a lot better than that motherfucking jerky.
Oh yeah, and I think I might be ranking it as high as I am.
Because it
partly
sort of
because
scalds the taste out of your mouth?
Yeah, it's getting the taste of that jerky out of my mouth.
That was 12 cookies ago for me, so I mean that partially is why I'm eating all this sugar, is to get the jerky out of my mouth.
Well, Greg, is there any chance you might stop stuffing your face for just a minute or two and give us a Tales of the Stupid?
Yes, I think so. And in fairness, I'm going to pass these cookies from the last segment back to you guys. You have a cookie while we wait for the next segment because they're actually quite good with the tea. I wanted to talk about the island of Taiwan in this Tales of the Stupid because from the 1600s on, it has been largely a story of colonialism, imperialism, and invasion. The Dutch, it was called Dutch Formosa or Spanish Formosa because the Dutch East India Company tried to establish a trading outpost in the area in 1622. They were driven out by the Ming Dynasty. Eventually, they established a stronghold called Fort Zeelandia on the coastal island of Taiwan. or Taiyouan, which is now part of the main island of Anping in Tainan. So the name Taiwan kind of shifted around, but in 1626, the Spanish Empire landed on and occupied northern Taiwan at the ports of Keelung and Tamusui. And the whole idea was to establish these trading ports to bring as much of Chinese goods, especially tea and porcelain and spices, and take them back to Europe where they were in high demand. And when the Ming Dynasty fell, there was a Ming loyalist who took over Fort Zeelandia in the late 1600s. And really, it went back and forth for a long time till the Ming Dynasty fell, and the Qin Dynasty came in, and they were toppled in the late 19th century by Imperial Japan. And so the first Chinese-Japanese War of 1894-95, Taiwan, along with parts of a peninsula nearby, were won in full sovereignty to the Empire of Japan. And that was pretty much how things went until the end of World War II, when Mao Zedong drove Chiang Kai-shek and his loyalists off the mainland onto Taiwan. And the policies for the last 50, 60 years has been to acknowledge a one China policy. Even though Taiwan considers itself its own country, the People's Republic of China considers Taiwan as a splinter faction that they eventually want to take back over. And
they consider a lot of places that.
Well, that's true, but we carved out our empire. They carved out theirs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It doesn't make it right.
It doesn't make it right, but it makes it might.
Yeah.
But Taiwan is a manufacturing center and a manufacturing powerhouse for the region, and we still have many goods and electronics produced today on the island of Taiwan. So we have a mutual defense policy that's been in place since the 1950s, where China can't militarily invade Taiwan, but we refuse to acknowledge Taiwan as its own country. So it's one of those diplomatic military sleights of hand, but it puts Taiwan in an interesting position of being not quite a country in the eyes of almost every other country in the world, given China's might and clout.
Yeah.
Well, that's depressing.
I really want to.
Well, I don't know if it's depressing. It's history. Most of history is depressing.
Well, yes, it is.
It's all.
It is a messy situation and unfortunate for many people.
Why do you think I'm emotionally eating all these cookies over here? I'm contemplating the plight of the Taiwanese people, you monster.
I figured it was because nobody loved you.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we were all assuming
all
too.
assumed that, yeah. Yeah, nobody loves you. That's why you're eating.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we'll do. We've got one quick piece of feedback for our audience regurgitation segment. On Facebook, we got feedback from Adam Smith.
This is my brother.
Yeah. So, and based on this comment, you can see the relation, because he was commenting on our spicy episode, and particularly along the those spicy fire truck licorice things we ate.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And pointed out to us that you don't know sadness until you've tried tar lions. So I have not tried tar lions. And if that is what will introduce me to sadness, if I don't know it already, I think I will avoid eating tar lions.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, thanks to your brother for warning us to avoid tar lions.
I will avoid those.
Yep. All right.
It's much nicer than the other comments he sent into some other podcasts suggesting things that I will hate.
Yes.
Oh, we're still getting to the pickle juice soda at some point.
Oh.
Your brother and I have an accord.
I want some of that. Can you send me a bottle? I will pay you shipping to bring me some of that.
Pickle soda?
Yes.
You will pay for pickle soda?
I have a thing about pickles. Don't judge me.
It's too late.
Yeah.
Well, that's on you, buddy.
Okay, I
You
think
don't know my life.
I think I've watched Greg stuff his face with cookies long enough to
yes.
not do it myself. So I think it's time we move on to our Be Merry segment and get some of these sweet things in for Ryan and I to have.
Oh, pass card, I'm so full.
Oh, fuck you.
You bastard.
Eat it till you choke.
Yes.
Until you
I'm
vomit.
kidding. I'm
rainbows.
kidding. I'm ready for more sweets.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Give me some
okay.
sugar.
Well, let me lead. Wait, should I lead? This is the
Yeah,
Be Merry.
go for it.
Eric, please tell us about the Be Merry segment.
Be Merry is where we eat sweet junk food and stuff our faces and then rank them based on a scale of 0 to 5 greasy wrappers.
Okay. Well, let me forewarn you that the Asian folks, sweets to the Asians, much like the Hispanic, is not as sweet as we do here in America.
No, well, that's like most of the rest of the
Yeah.
world, really.
Right, exactly, because we're just a bunch of fat-ass diabetics.
Honestly, the less sweet things, I think we tend to favor a little bit. So
I'm a savory person myself. I do very little chocolate, very little sweet stuff. I'm more of a chippy pretzel person. So that's why, so what you guys are going to try is, again, going to be more savory versus sweet. But still, this is what they consider their sweets. I hope you guys have some tea left, because the first one I want to point out is the peanut square cookies. I know Greg has already
oh yeah,
dove
these
in
things.
I
heads
have an opinion,
first.
but I will hold off.
You
Is there
should.
another one of these?
I
Or
don't
do we
think
need
so.
to?
Okay,
You
well,
guys got to
I'm-
split a package between you.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
'Cause
Greg ate 5
because,
packages.
You know,
Yeah.
And the
Fatty
wrapper.
Well,
would go
thankfully
there.
there's 2 in a package, so we can. Yeah.
Again, these are the Asians when they drink tea. They drink a lot like the English, and they have biscuits. Their cookies aren't cookies; they're more flour-based, flavor-based. The ones you have in front of you are peanut squares, peanut square cookies. I'm assuming I have not tasted this
They're,
one myself.
they're definitely a rectangle, not a square, but
Well, I'm sorry, I don't know geometry.
No, I mean, they're
and I
called-
took.
they're called a square cookie,
I
but they're a
took-
rectangle.
They smell delicious.
I think it's a translation.
That's all that matters.
They do. They
because-
smell
Guys, try
nutty,
try 'em.
peanutty,
Just
delicious.
eat
Eat it.
Yes. That's like peanut butter toast in a cookie.
I am for this.
This
it
is
was
good.
great.
But
That's why I ate
it's
a
like peanut
package.
butter toast on a cookie, but the texture's better.
You see, that's why I went on a cookie kick. Is I opened it up, tried one, just meant to nibble a corner, and went totally off the rails.
5.
Because
5.
it's a 5.
Yep, 5 greasy wrappers.
Five greasy
all around.
wrappers. Yeah.
That is amazing.
And can
Best
we-
thing we've had all
and
episode.
it is
Oh, it's
called-
not even close.
It's called the Goober Square Cookies.
I'll get you guys more and bring them to the next Turkey Day meetup at the Dino Hotel for Thanksgiving in November. I'll bring you guys more. I'll bring some for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very generous, and I look forward to it.
Bring a trunk, but only for me.
Your trunk would only, depends on how much you're going to pay me, Greg.
It depends on whether he means that it's a trunk that only for him with the idea that we can stow his body in it.
Well, it's going to have to
As
be a
long
big
as I get to
trunk
eat the
because
Goober treats out of it first, I'm okay with it.
We
These
can
are-
make that happen, Greg. Trust
Yeah.
me.
These are really, they're
I
not too
have stuffed
sweet.
a bigger
No.
body and lesser spaces.
What else you
So
got?
now I'm sad that I didn't even get to try them.
They're
not
wonderful.
They're not terribly sweet at all. But
No,
there's just
that's-
enough, just a touch of it,
Yeah.
and it's
That's
just.
why I'm a huge fan of peanuts myself.
Oh, me too.
So I can only imagine that these cookies kind of have the cookie, but the peanut.
Yeah, it's really good.
It does taste like toast with peanut butter on it, and maybe a very slight touch of honey in there.
Yeah, very, very. Yeah, it's
Very slight.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of sweetness to overpower you. It's just the right amount. It's just really good.
Yeah.
If we had a whole box of these,
Yeah.
I'd still be eating them.
And then such a nice flaky cookie texture. It's like the almost like a puff pastry kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just really good.
Yep.
I'm so glad I didn't bring you guys total shit.
Pours out.
I was worried. There was one cookie that I brought you guys that you didn't try, and it was a scallion cookie. The same thing. It's very flour based, not a lot of sugar, and it has that onion flavor to it because over in Asia they really love that scallion flavor in a lot of things that they make, and so you could be drinking the green tea and having a peanut little cookie or a scallion cookie, depending on what your tastes were or what you were craving that afternoon. So that's what I found really interesting. Is again, in America we have crackers, but not quite like the crackers and the biscuits that they have over in Europe and Asia.
Yeah.
So that was, to me,
All
really
right.
exciting. So.
No, and that worked really well on that. And
I've gone 5 minutes without a cookie. What's
Hey.
next?
God damn. Well, no more cookies, so I'm sorry.
Oh.
We going chewy or sugar?
Well, it's all kind of sort of sugar. So, I don't know. Let's talk about the one with the colorful packages, the red, the blue, the...
Okay, these chewy
Yes.
things.
Are they different flavors or just different colored wrappers?
No, they're just different colored wrappers.
Here, I'm just gonna go
Oh,
like
they're
this.
very pretty.
These are walnut soft candy.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing.
All right, so you should see that they are different colors. That means
I have
absolutely-
blue cellophane.
Yeah, it means absolutely nothing.
I will have to pick up them later.
There's green and red, like Christmas or green and
Are
red.
these homemade or are these store bought?
No, these are store bought.
Okay.
This is how they come.
Oh, it
And
smells
then-
And
great.
they kind of have some
Very
wax
nutty.
around the outside of them.
Very
Keep that
nutty.
on there. Keep that on there.
Keep the
That
wax
is
on.
edible. That you are actually supposed to eat that. So go
Okay.
ahead and bite in.
Yeah, it's got kind of a clear, jelly soft look. And
The walnut is great.
taking a bite.
The other part's like a stale gummy bear.
Exactly. And what these are kind of like what you said, like gummy bears. They are eaten with tea or just kind of an anytime
Leave the
snack.
paper on, Ryan.
It's
This
a
is the
form-
cellophane. That piece.
Yeah, don't eat the colored part, Ryan. I know you love colors and rainbows, but don't eat
No,
the
some cellophane came off, and I'm just trying to make sure that it's all gone, all off. Okay.
Well, you'll still...
This is very weird for my Western palate,
Yes.
The texture's really weird.
Yeah.
Yes.
but
It
I
tastes
love the
good.
flavor.
Flavor good. Texture, slight negative.
They make the... Okay, so this would be like the equivalent of American peanut brittle. But peanut brittle is, harder, obviously.
Yeah.
Essentially, and obviously, again, with a lot more sugar, peanut brittle. But these are made, well, the ones you guys are eating are walnut, but they're also made with cashews and pecans. And it's really to get the protein and nutrition of the nut. So you don't feel so guilty about eating kind of a candy. Because again, no, it's not sweet to our American palate or even the same texture of things that we normally consider sweets, but this is kind of a treat over there. But you're also enjoying a nut that's going to have protein and nutrients in it.
I can get used to these.
Yeah.
The texture is a little off-putting for me, but the flavor is great.
You mentioned there were the other flavors, and it included pecan. I think a pecan would be really interesting. I think it would be like a less sweet pecan pie.
That's what I
And
was thinking.
honestly, pecan pie to me, I usually find it too sweet. So I would be really intrigued to try the pecan version of this.
Hey guys, I figured out a life hack. So this stuff is sticking to your teeth and gums. You
A
get
lot.
Really, really hot tea and it instantly dissolves.
Can I have some really hot
let me
tea in my
pass
cup?
down- let me pass down the thermos. Just put another shot of that wonderful tea you brought us, Eric.
I like
And it'll
shots.
dissolve right off of your gums and then
Because
stuck to your
again,
tongue.
this is...
And he
And it
tightened
actually-
up the lid. So
Deana, would you eat this with the tea?
Well, yeah, that's what I said at the beginning. If you had been listening, Greg, I understand you're
I
having...
can't hear shit on this
I know,
headphones.
because you're that old. But yes, it's usually eaten with a tea or an anytime kind of snack. To me, again, this is maybe like I pick up a Nutri-Grain bar. Quaker oats bar, something like that, where I'm going to get a little bit of protein, maybe something to keep me going. But yes, it could be drank or eaten with tea. But yeah, it's a little snacky kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
How do you rank this, Greg?
Because the texture is a little weird, like eating a stale gummy bear, I'm going to give it a 4. 4 greasy wrappers, but the flavor is a 5.
Yay!
Huh? And Ryan?
I think I'd have to say exactly the same thing. The texture knocks it down a little bit, but I'd still go with a 4 because the flavor's really good.
And make that pretty universal, I'd probably say the flavor is probably more of a 4.5, not quite a 5 to me, but maybe I just don't knock it down quite as much for the texture. But still, we're at 4s all around. Definitely a decent candy.
Yeah,
So
not
I
bad at
finished
all.
mine.
Yeah.
I hated it. I couldn't eat it. I had to spit it out. So kudos to y'all, because I couldn't.
I liked the flavor, but the texture, I mean, I don't like candy that's hard to eat. I don't want to have to work to eat my
I
candy.
don't want to have to work. Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
then I'm sorry for the next one. Then.
Well, I love almond chews. I love peanut brittle, so I'm not shocked that this walnut candy appealed to me.
Yeah, and this last one is in these
Yes.
little packages that have orange on the outside with a red stripe and little gold
cheerful.
stripes.
How pleasant.
Well,
How simple. What
I'm
could possibly
assuming
go
some of them
wrong?
have different words. They look. I have a couple pictures. Some of them. Maybe that one's upside down. It's upside down. Never mind.
Yeah, you know what? Showing pictures on a podcast just doesn't work that well.
It's
So,
just a sweet
Hey,
little
I'm
candy.
not a sorcerer.
Nah, just
I
a little
don't know.
candy. Just gonna eat this.
yep.
Let's
So what is this, Deana?
Yeah.
This is handcrafted brown sugar candy.
Well, that sounds
It
promising.
sounds delightful.
It sounds great,
And I smell ginger.
but brown sugar in Europe is not like American brown sugar. So what this is it's a lot like a cube of sugar, but it's brown sugar. It's
Ooh, that's hot.
It's has different varieties. There's some that are ginger and barley. It has all these nutrients, and they put the nutrients into the sugar cube because what you're gonna do is people eat it like a peppermint. Like here in America, we have the peppermints,
Yeah.
like you pick up at the bank. This might be something very similar, but the
This
sugar.
is hot.
This is
Well,
like
that's
hot
the ginger,
ginger.
I would assume, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the
there
ginger.
is a lot of ginger in
A
this.
lot of
Yeah.
ginger heat.
But what it is, it's to provide nutritional benefits.
Huh.
Because ginger is so good for you, and the brown sugar that they use over there in Asia is so good for you. It's not this, corn fructose crap we have over here in America.
Oh, good.
This is like eating a really spicy ginger beer in bouillon form.
Yeah, exactly. And people they use it like sugar cubes. Like if you had a cup of tea, you could drop it in your cup of tea, and it's gonna flavor the tea, and you're
I'm
gonna
gonna
get
do
the
that right now.
nutrient. Feel free. Go ahead. It's like mixology, except for I don't have to charge you $200 for a class.
Yeah.
This is
but,
amazing. Why are you qualifying this? This is maybe one of the best things we've had.
No, I think this was actually a
Yeah.
really good thing to finish off with because
Kind of a palate cleanser.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're very, very welcome. I'm so glad to serve. So the great thing is that they're individually wrapped and convenient. You throw some in your pocket and take it to your tea shop. I don't know, and you get some nutrients out of the brown sugar engine.
the high ginger content is also making me feel less like I'm going to die from that horrible fucking jerky
Yeah,
because it settles your stomach.
Yeah,
just
I mean, the
like
jerky-
redheads, so the more ginger, bring it on. I have a thing for
the
redheads.
jerky stuff is gone now thanks to these. I'm a big fan, and I'm gonna come right out. This is a 5 wrapper
5.
product for me.
Easy.
5.
Oh my god! I had no idea. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Don't
And
die,
Greg's
don't die,
dying.
Greg. Don't die. I really didn't want to kill anybody. That was kind of my plan, but I didn't think it would actually work.
From the description, I would not have thought this would have been a 5 greasy wrapper, but it works so much better than it sounds.
Yeah, it's
It is
really good.
delicious.
I put the ginger cube in my tea and then downed it. And it immediately coated my uvula and was instant choking hazard. Still,
Tea is for sipping.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. Still delicious.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Sorry, I thought this was gonna be like all crap, and you guys were gonna hate it, but the
No, I
fact
think the
that you enjoyed
Different,
it.
subtle, Mostly good.
I think the only thing that was really we hated was the jerky, wasn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
soy anything is dicey
Yeah.
when you go from Western culture to Eastern culture. I mean, like that horrible soy soft drink we tried
That
several podcasts
was
ago.
so bad. Yeah.
But the ginger, the sugar, the walnuts, the nuts, the little cookies.
Oh, the cookies were outstanding.
Yeah, this is honestly one of the most refined Junkmouths we've ever had. I mean, this was really delicate and amazing.
I was surprised, and yeah, I think we'll summarize. I mean, the food was the food part, the savory part. It was outside of that jerky was good. The beef thing was just I thought was kind of middling. But so we've definitely built, I think, through this podcast. The savory part was actually probably was the weakest. I know I love the tea. It worked well and paired well with everything. I think that rather than being like anything great by itself I think it helped accentuate things. And then these desserts.
All good.
We all loved all the dessert things, the sweets. So thank you, Deana. That was really good. You guys, let's see.
You might even say it left me begging Formosa.
You might not, you stupid fuck.
Wow.
Formosa.
Damn you.
I mean, I know Ryan's the one who usually wants to hit you, Greg, but you're really getting me worked up here.
Have another cookie.
You ate them all.
Yeah,
Oh.
you pig.
Can I just say thank you to my dad, Mr. Ed, and my stepmom, Jessie, for giving us this wonderful food that you guys enjoyed way more than I thought you would, and for taking the time
Yes,
to teach me about these things.
Yeah.
So
Well,
shout out to
pass on
Mis-
our thanks to them.
Mr. Ed and Jessie. What love you.
Yeah, Mr. Ed and Jesse, thank you very much. This was a highly, highly enjoyable episode of Junkmouth, which can be said so rarely.
Yeah.
Very, very rare.
Yes.
I have listened, and mainly y'all poo-poo a lot on the stuff you eat. So
Well, they
I'm
bring in stuff
very thrilled.
specifically to make my life miserable, so...
Well, it already is. So
Well, yeah.
we need to do
Yeah, we
more.
don't need to make it that way. We just keep it that way.
In spite of Ryan's presence, I actually enjoyed myself this podcast.
There you go.
Any final thoughts from you then, Ryan?
We don't let Greg have cookies anymore because he can't be trusted to leave any for the rest of us, I would say, would be my final thought. And those fucking peanut squares were just outstanding.
Yeah, I wish he hadn't eaten most of them and he
Yeah.
got more than one.
Would have been nice.
Do you have anything to say for yourself, Greg?
Yeah, I want more of these ginger cubes.
The ginger cubes were great, and thank you, Deana. Thank you to Deana's parents. We're happy to have done this one. It was delicious, and until next time, remember, eat, drink, and be merry.